Steve Rogers might be widely recognized as the man behind the mask of the hero we've come to know and love as Captain America, but he isn't the only one to don the shield. You won't believe some of the other heroes and villains even who have at times also answered to the name Captain America. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Join me in reaching out to alternate Earths and timelines and different points in comic book history as we count down the top 10 Captain Americas who weren't Steve Rogers. Let's learn more about some alternate and surprising caps and get counting. Number 10, Red Skull. Yeah, I bet you never thought you'd see the day. Obviously, this one ranks so low on the list because of, well, just how despicable this whole thing is, despite the fact that it actually makes for quite an interesting story. Red Skull becoming Captain America and later President of the United States happens, of course, in a what-if story. Where else would this happen? In this what-if, following the end of World War II, both Hitler and Red Skull are believed to have been defeated, but dun dun dun, Red Skull actually survived. Making sure that Steve Rogers was lost at sea after the war was won, Red Skull plotted to manipulate people under the guise of Steve Rogers himself. Red Skull transferred his mind into a clone of Rogers and set about impersonating him, using Rogers' trustworthy reputation and influence to his advantage. Eventually, the real Captain America, however, did return and would end up putting a stop to evil President Red Skull Cap and his army of super soldiers. I feel like anytime you have a Captain America that's like, I'm gonna make an army of super soldiers, you should probably be suspicious of that Cap, because I feel like that's not a thing that Steve would normally do. Number 9, Clark Kent. But not exactly the Clark Kent you're thinking of. In the Amalgam universe, Clark Kent is a normal human who ends up becoming an alternate version of Captain America, known as Super Soldier, after he is given a serum that was created from the blood of an alien baby who crash-landed on planet Earth. Also, I feel like it's really weird that they took an alien baby's blood and made a serum with it. But I digress. This is a pretty dark story in my opinion. While this version might not hold the title of Captain America, he definitely looks the part, well, minus his S for Super Soldier shield, and is meant to be like a version of both Captain America and Superman combined, cause amalgam. He also comes with his own villains such as Green Skull and Lex Luthor, who in this world is actually the head of Hydra. Hail Hydra, says Lex Luthor. Alright friends, before we move on to this next point, if you are enjoying hearing about all these different people that have been Captain America, feel free to give this video a thumbs up and show it. Number 8, James Newman. James Newman became Captain America for a brief moment in time, or really it's more like Captain America took hold of him, I guess. In the alternate reality of Earth 7116, Captain America finds himself rapidly aging and dying. As he loses his strength, he decides to work with specialists and participate in a sort of experiment that allows him to reach out like a sort of Force ghost to other military groups. Even after he passes on, Captain America's ghost is seen by James Newman and him alone while serving in Afghanistan. Cap helps to bolster James's courage and strength when he needs it most, helping him to believe in himself and to perform heroic actions. After escaping a cave-in, Newman finds himself in the middle of an ambush, and Captain America possesses him briefly in order to help Newman not only survive, but defeat his attackers, leading Newman to state that he believes there is a bit of Captain America in all of us. Aw, what a sweet moral. You can be a hero too. It's true though, if you actually just were like, hey, I'm gonna be a hero today and do good things, you can do that. You should do that. Everyone should be a hero for a day every now and then. It's a nice way to help people out. Number 7, Cyclops. That's right, in the alternate future of what appears to be the Ultimate Universe, known as Earth 81122, an alternate of an alternate, we get an alternate Scott Summers and Jean Grey and Steve Rogers, who all find themselves at one point without powers. Rogers, in losing his powers, also ends up rapidly aging and dies. After his death, it was basically left to Scott Summers to take up the mantle, allowing the name of Captain America to live on, albeit briefly, because he dies. Scott dies. Scott Cap. Captain Scott Summers. Captain Scott Summers of America. Number 6, Roberta Mendez. One of the 2099 versions of Captain America. Roberta Mendez became Captain America unwillingly after her husband dosed her with the super soldier serum kind of against her will. In fact, Roberta didn't even know she was Captain America, as Cap and Roberta were actually basically two separate personas residing in the same body. Trigger words are usually deployed here to manipulate Roberta's mental state into switching between her Cap persona and just her everyday Roberta persona. This version of Captain America is part of Alchemax's Avengers and is believed to have the same level of durability and strength as her 616 counterpart, Steve Rogers. Number 5, The Punisher. That's right, in Marvel's marvelous world of what ifs, anything is possible, including a world where Frank Castle ends up being chosen to be Captain America instead of Steve Rogers. He does eventually get carried away, like we are so used to seeing him do, and attempt to go on a murderous rampage, but in the end is reined in by none other than Steve himself, who reminds him that he is a role model for all of America, and that he basically has to be better. When Castle offers the mantle of Captain America to Rogers himself, he actually refuses, saying that Frank needs to be Cap because he is a living, mortal man, which makes him, I guess, more relatable to the American people, because in this reality, Rogers is a cyborg. I guess we can't relate with cyborgs. I feel like that's a weird lesson. So yeah, Frank stays on as Captain America, and Steve goes on to fight crime as the Captain. Cyborgs can't be Captain America. How dare they? Number 4, Roscoe Simmons. Steve Rogers hasn't always been Captain America, and there have been a few times that his frustration with the government and the politics that sometimes comes along with the name has caused him to escape into another mantle, leaving the Captain America name and looking for someone to step in and replace him during his absence. Roscoe Simmons was a promising candidate given the seal of approval by Steve Rogers himself, who at the time was operating under the name NEWMAN, which you might remember from the MCU, because there's kind of a little Nomad reference in there. Falcon, Sam Wilson, even trained Simmons himself, but expressed concern as to if Simmons was really prepared enough to be Captain America. Falcon was worried that Roscoe might not only be hurt in the line of duty, but may even wind up dead. And he was right to be worried about that, turns out, because that is exactly what happened. When Red Skull learned that the Captain America he was facing was not in fact Steve Rogers, but his replacement, Roscoe Simmons, in a rage, he killed Simmons, seeking also to teach Rogers a lesson in the process about attempting to find a replacement and leave his mantle. Red Skull's like, "You're my nemesis and you can never do anything else." Red Skull crucified Simmons and tortured him to death. Roscoe's death did inspire Steve to return as Captain America, despite his continuing frustration with the government. Roscoe Simmons, R.I.P. I feel bad for Roscoe Simmons. Number 3, John Walker. John Walker was the man chosen to replace Captain America after he quit, more permanently this time. Captain America decided to leave the mantle behind when he no longer felt it was a good idea to be working for the government, who at the time were quite corrupt. Although Steve Rogers would continue to operate as a hero, he wouldn't be able to use the name of Captain America, as, well, it technically belonged to the federal government. Instead, he would become known as the Captain, and the US government would recast the heroic role of Captain America. John Walker ended up being the man they chose, who proved to be a much more violent and ruthless Captain America in comparison to Rogers, having no qualms about killing those who got in his way. In the end, Rogers was able to convince Walker of his misdeeds and even helped him to reform. Walker ended up giving the mantle back to Steve and would go on to become the redemption-seeking hero, US agent. Number 2, Bucky Barnes. Also known as the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes was originally Captain America's young sidekick from way back in 1941. For years we thought Bucky was dead until Ed Brubaker brought him back as Russia's brainwashed operative and later on, by extension, Hydra's brainwashed assassin, where we'd come to know him as Winter Soldier. Fortunately, Captain America was able to give Bucky back his true mind and memories using the Cosmic Cube, and Bucky then set out on a mission of atonement, before being tossed into the position of Captain America himself. After Cap was suspected of being dead after being shot by a a time-traveling bullet during the events of Civil War. True story. Bucky would take up Cap's shield, costume, and the name himself temporarily. Eventually, he would return to his Winter Soldier mantle after he was put on trial for the crimes that he'd committed in his former life, which honestly tend to have a way of coming back to haunt him no matter what good he does. I feel like Bucky's always haunted by those old Winter Soldier days. But that's fair, it's probably pretty traumatizing. Number 1, Falcon. Falcon was the chosen successor for the Captain America title in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with an elderly Steve Rogers who went back in time to live out his life with Peggy, passing on the shield to his friend Sam Wilson at the end of Endgame. And I guess near the end of his life, he was pretty old there. We don't know if this is something that will stick in the MCU, but in the comics, Sam Wilson has already stepped into Steve's shoes, serving as Captain America after Steve found himself rapidly aged. The major difference between Sam and Steve's approach to being Captain America is that Rogers preferred to stay out of politics, whereas Wilson believes that it's actually his duty to get involved in them. I personally think in the MCU what's going to happen is we're going to have US Agent, who's going to be the person that the government picks, and then Sam Wilson, they're going to be like, we don't care that Captain America passed the shield on to you. It's our mantle, we do what we want. But hopefully the government will come around, and then Sam will get to be Captain America again. Or he'll convince John Walker like Steve did. Anyways, you're not coming here to hear my theories on Sam Wilson's future in the MCU, but that's what I think. Who have been some of your favorite characters that you've seen take up the name of Captain America? Who would you love to see take up the name in the future? I personally am really excited for the kind of interesting role reversal we're going to get between Peggy and Steve in Marvel's new animated What If series. I think that is going to be super cool. I'm so ready. Feel free to share what you are the most excited for in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to take a look at some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Children of Asgardians. Michael Reese comments, I love Thor's granddaughters. I wish they had given them a Journey in Mystery comic series. Or maybe down the road with all the time traveling fun on Disney Plus, they'll appear in something there. I hope they appear in something there because I also love his granddaughters, and I did think of them for that list, but I was like, man, there's so many like Asgardians that were born of Asgardians that I need to talk about. I actually hope we do a part 2 to that list because it was pretty cool to, you know, learn about all of them and teach you guys about all of them as well. Or recap them for people that already knew about them. Lauren O responds, not sure how I feel about Thor ditching his daughter as some weird life lesson. Yeah, I feel you, Lauren. That was pretty weird, wasn't it? I also read that and was like, I mean, just because Odin did it to you doesn't mean you need to do it to your daughter. But okay. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, reminding you, as always, to stay nerdy, YouTube.